everybody. Hope everybody is doing well tonight. And everybody is, it's a good Wednesday. It's a much better day for me than yesterday. I'm glad I didn't try to get myself to come on because I just wasn't in the right frame of mind for it. So I'm glad I did what I needed to do for my body, which was rest and take it easy so that I could come in and do this whole thing we call YouTube. So, I hope everybody is doing well. I picked this topic tonight because I said I was going to come. I don't want to make anybody, just want to move it over, move the camera over. I picked this topic tonight because I wanted to talk a little bit about the tidbits from the conference that we had. It was very interesting, in the sense that it's amazing how God just brings things in perspective sometimes. So it was a very nice conference. Put some pictures in the thumbnail from it, and I really just totally enjoyed it. I enjoyed the time with my mother and the ladies from our church, and it was very nice, and I totally enjoyed it. So here's the crazy thing about the whole thing. When before we went to the conference, I came on because we had a batch of storms. And everybody was kind of concerned a little bit that we were okay and wanted to make sure that we were okay. And so my top's not cooperating with me tonight. So I'm trying to arrange it so it doesn't look all twisted or tilted. And I have to remember my cameras. There we go. You think now it's going to stay where I want it to. Anyway, so we before the conference, before I left, I did a thing on, after the storm, because I wanted to just check in and have everybody know, hey, I'm doing fine. We're safe. We made it through. Let's pray for the people that had their house affected and people lost their lives and so forth and so on. So I did that. Well, when we went to the conference, the first speaker that came up was the lady that's in that picture with me, and her name is Tanya Shepard. Oh my goodness, she was a hoot. And she talked about storms. I thought, okay, this is really ironic that before I left, I talked about storms and just kind of getting through them, but also making sure that we get through them, having each other's back. I don't think we realize the importance of that. And so she talked about, going through the storms in your life, connecting and holding on to Jesus and holding on to our sisters and so forth in Christ. Mind you, there was about 600 women at this conference. So it was very packed church. And talking about getting through them. Well, halfway through the next speaker that spoke came on, and in the middle they had a song, and I was going to look it up before I came on here, and I didn't. And it talked about Jesus and the waves, and I was like, okay, and what caught me to some degree a little bit about that is just life in itself can be, we can go through the storms of life, but if we have Jesus, we have the peace, knowing that he is with us always. And we have and he brings people aside, that can be a source of strength and support. If we think of Jesus, he went through, his time here on earth with when he was an adult, with 12 disciples following him. He didn't try to do this, even though he could do it all by himself. He certainly didn't try to do it by himself. He had the support of 12 other, disciples that traveled with him. And so, she was just talking about the storms of life and how, going through them, and her husband had a back injury and how difficult that was, but yet God brought her through all those storms. And I thought, this is a little bit, it just was amazing how before I left the house, I was talking about after the storm, and then she was talking about storms. And I brought my crochet because that's how I was able to, sit and be able to not focus on the pain. Well, shortly after that, I got an opportunity to meet her. Hi, Miss Dragon. I got an opportunity to meet her. She's just as sweet as you just could imagine. And I just said to her, you have got to check out my YouTube channel, because before I left, I had a thing before I left talking about after the storm. And she said, you've got to be kidding me. And I said, I bring my crochet not to not focus on people, but it's my way of dealing, or not being able to deal with the pain and sitting there so I can focus on what's being spoken to me instead of, what I'm dealing with. And, I walked away with just a renewal about myself and my renewal of my relationship with God. And then we had cotton candy and on the tables, and little and crumble cookies. If y'all haven't had crumble cookies, you're missing out. And Miss Dragon, go ahead and put yours too as well. And they were delicious. And so I took a picture of me with the pink candy corn, thinking of Tommy. But you know what? What got to me to some degree was, I sat there and I said, am I doing what I feel led to do by doing this channel? And I just said, okay, God, you have to direct this in your perfect timing, and you have to direct this exactly how it's supposed to go. And sometimes it can be frustrating. You put on, I know, the crumble cookies. We usually split them in half or fours, and it takes us a while to get through them. No, I ate the whole thing. And see, it was 0 calories. I didn't gain anything. But I sat there thinking it can get discouraging when I've done a video and it's like, I still have the same amount of subscribers. It's not changed. Or I go in and there's nobody in the chat, and it's sitting there going, am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? And it just sat there, and I thought, yeah, I guess so. If I left and the topic that I just happened to pick was after the storm, and the topic that they're going into is talking about storms. The other lady that came up, she was Elaine Bryan. She was very good as well. And so that was the first night. And then the second night, or the second day we were there, we got up. I posted my legend size cup of coffee. And I said to one of the ladies, she said, you got a big cup of coffee? I said, yes, I do. You have the crumble cookie too? Oh, you have the cutter. We haven't gotten the cutter. We just used the knife, cut it in fours. But I had the Elvis size cup of coffee, and I said, yeah, this coffee cup's a little bit, you would never know that it has Elvis related to it. It's one of my favorite jumpsuits he ever wore, was the Ho 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 from Hawaii special. So I had my big cup of coffee with me, and we got there about 8 o'clock. They had a little continental breakfast, and then we went into the speaking part. And she was up first. Tanya was up first. And then she was talking, and through her speech, at the very end of her speech, I was brought up, which it was not in the plans. This woman, I swear, she could just sit there talking for 3 hours. She just is a hoot. My mom said me and her would have gotten along swimmingly to go out to lunch together. And she sat there. She said, there's a woman in the audience that brings her crochet because she's in a lot of pain. But it's her way of dealing with the pain. So she's sitting there crocheting and trying to bless other people. And at the same time, she's being blessed. And you know what? There were women that looked around and knew it was me, and their faces changed. Because I'm sure that there were women looking at me going, she's not sitting there opening her Bible. She's not sitting there taking notes. She's sitting there crocheting. She's not possibly listening. Oh, I was listening very intently. But the way I had to get through my pain was to be able to sit there and crochet. And people just looked around and they had this smile on their face like, okay, now we get it. See, sometimes we don't realize what's going on with somebody else. To everybody else around, I brought my crochet and I'm doing that. They don't realize the pain level I'm in, because there's a double-edged sword. It's like, okay, and then after that, we went to lunch. It was delicious lunch, and they actually had a cake. We have a place here called Miller's in Ashland. Delicious, by the way. Closest to Publix cakes I could come around this area. Believe me, once you've had a Publix cake, believe me, there's nothing else like it. And they literally had a cake on every table. I mean, they must have ordered like 30, 40 cakes, and they placed a cake, and it happened to be a purple one. Now, there was a sense of humor, God, because there was a yellow tablecloth, and I was like, okay, I'll deal with the yellow tablecloth, but there was a purple cake, but they all had spring colors all over the place. So we had a beautiful lunch. You could either choose from turkey or chicken, and then we went back for the second session. But I just thought, we don't often know what people are going through in their lives. And sometimes we need to sit back and go, and I had that a lot with Christina. If she had a meltdown or something like that going on, I didn't realize, I used to sit there, especially before I had Christina, going, they need to they just need to do this or that or whatever it may be. Once after I had Christina, I realized, I don't know what's going on with somebody else. I don't know what's going on with that child. I don't know what's going on with that parent. I don't need to make any judgments or criticisms about that. And I thought, how many women may have looked around in my little circle? And I think in the picture in there, I actually was stopping for a minute crocheting. How many women in there are thinking, oh, she's not paying a bit of attention. She's not listening. She's bringing her crochet. Maybe they weren't paying attention to it. I don't know. But I just remember the women around me, once she brought that up, were smiling. And I went up to her later and I brought a couple of soap savers for her and her husband and for the other speaker. And, she said to me, I was thinking about you today. I was thinking about you up there just crocheting away and listening and blessing somebody else. And I thought that was so sweet. And my mother happened to have to step out of the room for a phone call. Hi, Rhonda. Step out there for a phone call. And I was like, dang on, you missed it. And I totally didn't realize she was going to do it, or I'd had my phone on recording it. But I thought, it's a sure lesson for maybe every woman in that place that may have looked over at me and thought, she's bringing her crochet. She's not listening. She's not taking notes. Nope, that's not my way I learn. This is the way I learn. Well, the other speaker came up and did her second session, Elena. And she did a wonderful testimony, but she also brought up a very, very good point. She had an umbrella. Now, everybody can have their little superstitions about umbrellas, about opening them up and under, not outside. But she opened her umbrella, and she really said something that was very poignant. She said, when we go out in the rain, and if we don't have an umbrella, our hair gets wet, it's hard to see. I mean, if it's a deluge, a Florida deluge, let's talk about them deluges, always about 4 o'clock the rain would start. If we don't have an umbrella, we can't see because the rain's, coming down, and our hair is in our eyes and our makeup or whatever it is. And, she said, we need an umbrella. But if we think about it, unless it's one of them teeny tiny pocket-sized ones umbrella, usually umbrellas are big enough for somebody to come underneath that umbrella in the storm. Come underneath it and share that umbrella. How many times do we say, listen, if you've gone through a divorce, or you've gone through a miscarriage, or you've gone through a loss of a child, or a loss of a husband, whatever it is, that you have an experience that someone else has. You may not be able to understand. They may have had very different circumstances, but you have a bond there that you can say, can you come underneath my umbrella. I'll protect you from the storm. I'll cover you. And I'll be able to just be there to minister to you. God brings people in our lives at specific times when we need to take our umbrella and welcome them in and say, we're going to be there as a sense of support. We're going to share our umbrella of caring and love and support. We all can do that. And we all can take that umbrella in the midst of a storm and just say, come on in. Even if you don't have a similar circumstance or situation that they have, you can still say, listen, I may not know what you're going through, but I'm going to bring my umbrella and just cover you. I thought that was such an amazing way to look at it. And realizing how often we can take our umbrellas of caring and support and surround people with them. Because God does bring people in our lives at specific times when we need it. Sometimes when we don't even realize it, He brings them in. And if you're being brought into somebody's life, you may be being brought in for a specific reason because they're about ready to face a storm or they're going to need your support. And so she was just an amazing, I thought it was an amazing way to look at that. And so that was also just an amazing time. And it was a time to refill my tank. And I walked away and I thought, I came home and I crashed. I thought I would try to go live and I just couldn't. But don't you love that? I'm never going to look at an umbrella the same way. I'm going to look at it as an umbrella that we can, go over somebody in a storm. When I was able to, and gosh darn it, I couldn't fall asleep. It was Sunday night when I finally got through on the lifeboat and was able to talk to Tommy for 2 seconds. And I said, I was talking about it, and somebody in December, when I was going through a very difficult time, came and took their umbrella. They didn't know what I was going through, but they certainly said, come here. It was over the phone, but come here. I'm going to put you in this, you're in a storm right now. I'm going to cover you. And I was dead serious when I said that my life is so different before and after the lifeboat, before December and after December, so different. I actually figured out the other night, I thought, I'm going to need a little bit of a notebook here, a schedule. I know we can do it on our phones, but I'm going to have to go get a paper schedule and mark down certain lives that I don't want to miss and how to do this. And I had a crochet agenda today that just had to get done. I had several things that had to get, listen, I love every part about crochet. The two parts I do not like is sewing in my ends. I do not like that. And it's the one thing that I do not enjoy. If I could all avoid it, I do. But I had several items that had to get sewn in today, and I use a little bit of glue. I am going to do a show on what's in my crochet bag. Maybe I'll do that on Friday. We'll see. One of these days. Maybe this week sometime. But I use a little glue because no matter what I do with my ends, they find their way to pop out, and I want to make sure they don't. So I use just a little bit of fabric glue to make sure they're not going anywhere. And so I thought these have to get done so they can sit before I can throw them in the washer, and then they've got to get out of the mail on Friday. But I literally had an agenda today. Now, yesterday, I did what I needed to do. Self-care for myself. I don't know why my body said, you're not doing a thing. You're not. I did live from my bed. I didn't. I much prefer this nice backdrop or going outside. Of course, it's been winter has decided to come back briefly. It snowed again today. But I just said, I don't really want to do it from my bed, but I wanted to get on. Because I wanted to say, listen, the struggle is very, very real. It was very real. I said to my daughter today, I said, I could not get out of bed yesterday. And every time I got out of bed, tears were just rolling down my face. It hurt. I was like, I don't even want to get out of bed. This hurts. And I can do a lot more walking today. I can move today without going, this hurts. And so I did what was best for me. I'm going to, I will tell you exactly which ones to use, and I don't think I have it with me. It's not there. let me get it because it's specific. I just use a little teeny bit. I have to look it up on Amazon. But give me a minute, y'all. I'm gonna find it because I'm gonna tell her exactly which one I get. I love it. I have it on hand all the time, but they always pop out. I don't care what it is. Let's see. My phone's orders. There we go. We're gonna find it. Okay. You're gonna look up on Amazon this glue. Let me get it so you can see it. I would just look for this glue. This is the one I use and I love it. Can you see it? It's called B700 or 7000. I'm sorry. That's the one I use. Just type in B7000 in the thing. I'll type it in here. B7000. And it comes in the end, has a very little fine little little tip, so you can really get just the smallest amount in your little project. But that's the one it is. Hopefully I didn't do too many zeros, but that's what I use is B7000. And you can just use this littlest tiniest tip. It's got a little tip in there, so you can really get in and just use just a tad. And it washes up beautifully, and it keeps everything, all the ends where they're supposed to be. Anyway, I just stayed in bed yesterday. I did my live from my bed. We had to get some odds up yesterday. I'll tell you what. There was some comment. And I don't know why. I get more from my phone. I don't know what's the difference between the notifications, YouTube, that you get from your computer and the other. I don't know. But here's the thing. I knew if I had pushed myself yesterday to say, let's go do this. I really wanted to go work on sit down and try to do some more stuff in the garage. Yeah, it's amazing stuff. It's got a little tip, Miss Dragon. Oh yes, drives me nuts. It's got a little tip, and you just need a little dollop. And I always put it, if I'm going to knot my stuff, I'll show you in a minute. I always knot it, and I just put a little, even in a knot. It's not coming out anymore. But anyway, if I knew if I had pushed myself, I would have been horrible today. Absolutely horrible. I would have been in more pain if I had not taken it. And I thought, oh, I could do some more stuff today. No, Mary, you don't need to. If your body was that painful yesterday, you've got to rest today. And then tomorrow you can pick up the pace again. Sometimes we don't take care of ourselves. That the Celebrating Jesus 2024 was the theme of that with this past weekend. And that's what I think we forget, and we don't realize how important going to things like this is. It regenerates you. And now whether, it was just between Friday and Saturday and Sunday, going to church, and then, coming home and all that, maybe that caught up to me Tuesday. I don't know. Was it worth it? Absolutely. But it can be so frustrating. I got mad at my fibromyalgia yesterday. I don't like this. This hurts. Why do I have to go through this? And it was just like, for me, it was like, okay, God, I don't like to have to go through this. This hurts. But look what Jesus went through on the cross. And it's nothing in comparison to what I'm going through on a daily basis. But if I can help somebody going through it, if I can help them just to say you're not by yourself, you're not alone. I don't understand your struggle, but I can have that umbrella of bringing you in from the storm. I thought that was just so amazingly what every time I see an umbrella, I'm going to think, is there enough room to put somebody underneath there? Of course there is. And it's true, when we're in a storm and the rain is coming and we don't have something to cover us, it's really, really hard. Listen to your body. Sometimes our mind overrides it and we pay for it. Oh yes. I knew if I didn't listen to my body, I'd have been miserable, 10 times worse today. I don't know why. I mean, it even hurt to touch my skin. I touched my skin because I was trying to just find places that just felt, and I couldn't even handle the touch of my own hand to my skin. I mean, that was really bad. It can be frustrating because you have plans and you have goals and you're going to do it. And I had to sit there and say, okay, at that time I picked up a couple subscribers. Okay, I got 225. Well, Lord, you're just going to ride this wave. And to me, every subscriber is a person. Every postcard I'm getting right now, to me, whether it's for Tommy, but to me, it's just happy mail. I go and I just am so delighted to see it, and we've got to move that. I started his blanket yesterday. I have about 1, 2, 3, 4 blankets on the hook right now. Got one for my niece, or not one for my husband's cousin. I've got Tommy's. I've got a temperature blanket that's commissioned. I've got another blanket that I'm working on, and I have to start another one for a person in our church who's having a baby. I'm sitting there going, I'm the blanket girl. I love, I love blankets. I love doing blankets for people. It's where I absolutely flourish. Hats and scarves to me are wonderful. It's not my favorite thing to do. I love doing ponchos. I love things that cover, that somebody can put on and they feel like they've gotten a hug from somebody. Because when you have made something for somebody, there's just something about that when you can put that on in a way that they feel like they've gotten a hug or a blanket that they can wrap around them. I just think it's just so special. That's my favorite thing to do. And this lady that I found this Pacific crochet through on Etsy, she's my favorite blankets to do. I just love them. It's the one I'm doing for Tommy, but I'm modifying it. This is one of the ones I'm currently working on. And as you can see, it's for my husband's cousin who's having a baby boy. I don't know if you can see that. This is the current one of them. But can you see the letters? I tried to do this so you could see the 2 hearts there, and then there's the Z and the V, and then there's the U and the Y, and there's the T and the X, and then there's the S, and then there's the hearts. So this isn't the current one that I'm working on, and you can see there's about 5, 6, 7, there are 5 different yarns coming from it. So this is one of the ones I'm working on. And it's going to be the alphabet. But I love blankets. I love ponchos. I think that's my favorite thing to do is ponchos and blankets. And I just think it really envelops people. And it's just a really nice gift to give them. I used to do a lot of cross stitch. I have several I need to do. I've got several nephews that I've got to finish their cross stitch. Yeah, I'll put it in the description, but she has a lot. She has about 300 patterns, and I think by the time I'm done, I'm probably going to own about every pattern she has. But I just love her stuff, and I love doing her blankets now. I did hats with some bobble stitches on them. That's my favorite stitch to do is the bobble stitch. I just love being able to make the letters because it's some the way it's done, it makes me feel like I'm doing cross stitch again. But it was just a lovely time with my mother. Just lovely time with the women in the church there. Um, you know, and you know it, and just just re-energizing myself, and really realizing, that yes, sometimes it can be frustrating. I just thought, God, isn't it crazy? And I went up to Tanya that night and I said, you know what? I said, you'll never believe what I talked about before we came here on my YouTube channel. She said, you've got to be kidding me. I said, nope, I was talking about storms. And she said she was on this boat one time. And she said she went to, there was somebody owned a boat and a yacht, and everything was taken care of, and she was relaxing. They went to the Bahamas, and they had to leave early because there was a storm coming. And they thought they could get back in time before the storm hit. Well, that wasn't the case. She said the storm they were literally in the midst of the storm coming in. And she said the boat was a-rocking and things were happening and so forth. And she said to her husband, she said, I gotta go lay down. Well, she lay down and she was fine. As the boat was really rocking and he couldn't take it. He said, I can't take this. He said, I got to get up. He said, I can't handle this. And she said, next thing she knew, she fell asleep. And she said she woke up the next morning because she said there wasn't anything that she could do. She couldn't change it. I think the boat lost electricity. She couldn't change it. She couldn't do anything about it. She couldn't make the storm stop. She couldn't do anything. And oftentimes when we're in the middle of a storm, we want it to stop. We don't want it to keep going. And sometimes we cannot control that. I was sitting there, I prayed today. There was a situation and I thought, Lord, there's nothing I can do about this. I can't do a thing about it. I have to put it right there, right on your throne and say, this is out of my control. I can't do a thing. But how often in the midst of a storm do we very much try to control every little bit? And it usually fails miserably when we try to do that. Instead of saying, okay, God, I'm in this storm. I don't like it. Just like when I have a panic attack, I don't like it. But I'm going to get through it. But we need to be leaning into Him and leaning into connection. I don't know whether it's changed over the years where we think we can do this by ourselves and we don't need connection and we don't need support and we don't need to lean into it. But we do need to lean into it. It's where we're going to get through the storm. And if we don't ask for help and we just try to get through it and we're just going to press through and I can do this and I don't need any help, you're missing out on the opportunity for somebody to come beside you and bless you, to share your umbrella. We've all heard the thing where, the person that's in the middle of a flood, and he asked God for help, and there's a boat. No, I'll wait for the next one. And there's another boat. As the waves are rising, well, by the time they get to the roof, there's another boat. Nope, I'll wait for the helicopter. And then when he gets to heaven, he says, why didn't you bring somebody? He said, I gave you 3 boats. And you all turn them down. When we're in the mix of a storm, it's so easy sometimes to say, I don't want to lift that garage. I don't want to show people what's inside. I don't want to show them the mess. We dang on better open them garage doors. We better show what's inside. We better have people leaning up and having our back. It is so important. I was very honest when I said to Tommy on the lifeboat, if you are not digging into this connection, y'all, you're missing out tremendously. You have to lean into it. Because it's where you're going to bring yourself up. We're all here to help straighten each other's crowns. We're not here to try to judge and make everybody perfect. Good night, I'm far from it. I make mistakes every day in my crochet. I guarantee you, I may try to do a perfect blanket. It's never going to be perfect. Do I want to be perfect? No, it's too much work to be perfect. It's a lot more fun. Sometimes you have to say, listen, I'm not going to be perfect. Does it mean that we need to be out there doing things that are not in God's will? No. But we have to sit there and say, we set the expectations all the way up here. If somebody's setting them in your life all the way up there, and you're just doing the best you can, then you need to have a talk with who's ever setting them expectations all the way up here. You're doing the very best you can to get through life. And you just had to redo some of your beads. Miss Dragon, my hand was cramping. We try, but there's only one person that was perfect, Jesus. That was the only person that was perfect that came on this earth. And the only time I'm going to be perfect is when I get up there. That's it. Am I going to strive to continue to improve myself? Absolutely. You know what I said today? Something happened. I was a little hurt. You know what I said to somebody today? We worked it out. Everything's fine. I said, you know what? I am done with saying that I don't have a right to be hurt. I got over it in about 5-10 minutes. Worked itself out. Everything's fine. But I said, I am just done with saying that I don't have a right to be disappointed or upset or have a little moment and move on. Because everybody wants to sit there and say, oh, you're too sensitive. Now you can take the sensitive thing and put it out the window. That's who I am. Give me a moment. Let me work through it. Let me get through all my feelings for 2 seconds, and I'm going to come back through on the other side just fine. But I'm done. People telling me you shouldn't be hurt. You're going to tell me how I'm supposed to feel, and I'm supposed to turn around and sit there, and I'm not going to tell you how you're supposed to feel. You have every right to feel the way you feel. Give me about 5-10 minutes. I'll work through it, and I'll come back to the other side just fine. I think in this world today, sometimes things, especially through text messages, if I think sometimes through text messages, we can get so far from what we're actually saying. That was one thing that, Tanya was talking about too. She said she went into a store and she said she was trying to find a dress. And she said there was 2 dresses she thought she liked, and she thought maybe her daughter liked it, and her daughter didn't like either one of them. And she said, well, don't bother coming to Marshall's because they don't have anything. And she said, my daughter thought, hi, Sarah. Well, you've been lurking. I'm glad you're no longer lurking. Welcome in. Welcome in. She said, my daughter thought she thought I was upset with her. Or she thought that I was upset because of the way that I responded to her text messages. I just told her, don't bother coming to Marshall's because there's nothing here. She just thought the way it came through the message, she thought she was upset. She wasn't. She said, I wasn't upset. I wasn't upset she didn't like either one of the dresses. I was just trying to save her a pit stop. Don't bother coming to Marshall's. They got nothing. But sometimes, if we have something that we need to talk to somebody about, maybe text messages isn't the way to go. Sometimes before we get them keys thinking about it, we say, wait a minute. Is this a conversation that we need to have over the phone? These things still call out. They still have a voice. They still call out. You can still talk to people. And sometimes we need to say, is this a conversation that, yeah, text messages do come in very handy, and they do come in great. But sometimes when we need to communicate, we need to figure out, is this a text message call, or is this a phone call? Yeah, you can crochet beads. I'm not going there. It's beautifully done when people can do it, but this girl ain't doing it. But, and that was another thing through the conference. I thought, you know what? I may think, and actually the situation that worked so much better when I called on the phone and I talked, and oh, well, this makes now perfect sense. I understood it from the person's perspective. They understood it from my perspective. We worked out in 5 or 10 minutes, and I was like, okay. So I think sometimes when we're trying to figure out this friendship things and this communication thing, I think sometimes we need to say, is this a text message kind of phone call, or a Facebook Messenger kind of thing, or do we need to pick up the phone and make a phone call and have 5-10 minutes? Because sometimes things are lost in text messages. I think there's going to be a time, just like with letters and postcards. Guys, I'm enjoying getting these letter and postcards coming in from so many places for Tommy, and we just got to get it bigger. I've got my first card for Steve Molesky's family. So again, my P.O. box is open for any cards that anybody would like to send condolence cards for his family. We got to get this big. I want to overflow this box. And I've decided that the cow's name is Rosie. That's what I've decided. But, we need to, I think we're going to kind of get to the point with phone calls like we did with letters. People don't send letters anymore. They don't send snail mail anymore. I had several people say, I can't find a postcard. And I'm like, you can't find a postcard? Have we lost the ability to send postcards? You prefer chatting on the phone, Rhonda. But have we lost the art of postcards? I mean, I've had several people saying, can I send a card? And I'm accepting the ones that understand I'm opening it and I'm checking it, and that I can trust they're going to send nothing but positive. But I'm like, have we forgotten the art of a personal touch? I think we're going to get like these where we're only going to just text and forget that there's an actual phone. Give somebody a call. That was my challenge. See if you can contact one person a day. And maybe you take that one person, one of those phone calls during the week, and say, I'm going to call them. Now you've made 30 connections and 4 phone calls. Why don't you even up it even smoother and say, listen, I'm not only going to do 4 phone calls, but I'm going to pick another 4, and I'm going to do a video chat. We're doing connection. People realize, and I'm going to hammer it in, 200 hours. I've wasted 200 hours on the most silliest things in the world in order to build connections and build those roots, so that when you sit there and say, yeah, I'm fine, and you're not, your friends that have built those things and those railroad tracks and those they know, they go, wait a minute, she's not fine. I got to give her a ring-a-ding-ding and find out if she's okay. If I sit there and say to my husband, yeah, I'm fine, he goes, she's not fine. If I say to my daughter, I'm fine, she goes, no, Mama's not fine. Because those people know me very, very well. If you don't realize it takes 200 hours to connect with people and build those connections and those friendships, and there's some people that you just instantly connect with. There's people through Facebook and all that kind of stuff that I've just connected with really quickly. And sometimes we need to have healthy discussions too. We need to say to people, listen, if things seem off, just find out. Are you, ask the questions. We've seen that through Tommy and Reese. Are you okay? Did I do something to upset you? Hear them out. Listen to them. Get their point of view. They understand your point of view. At the end of the thing, it's the connection that's important. And maintaining that. And realizing that our friendships are not always going to be smooth sailing either. Sometimes we're going to be underneath that umbrella together. And the rain's going to be pouring and we've got to get through it. By the end of it, we're going to be a lot stronger. We're going to know who has somebody's back. So I really encourage people to come beside people and do that whole connection thing. And for people that say, you know what? I don't do friendships well. Well, guess what? I'm learning. I'm going to make mistakes. And especially people that have had a really, really rough time. People that have been really... People that said, yeah, I've got your back. And then they've kind of ghosted. And that's happened repetitively where they've had friendships come in. And it's really been a struggle. They haven't had those friends that say, you know what, I got your back no matter what. We have got to give everybody a little grace. And I ask for the same. I'm going to make mistakes. Sometimes I can be a little overzealous. It's because my heart's really big. I've got a big heart, y'all, and it's one of the things that I'm starting to really, really love about myself. I came home from the conference. Mind you, it was just, 20 minutes from my house. And I thought, I gotta make some soap scrubbers. So I was up till about midnight doing the soap caddies I make. And I made 3 of them. Actually, I made 2 of them, and I had 1 extra that I could give out. So I could make sure that those 2 ladies that came, hi Crystal, those 2 ladies that came and spoke, both came from Florida. There were several ladies from Florida. And they knew that they were appreciated. And the one lady was actually wearing a green dress the first night, and I had that kind of green, and I was able to make a soap caddy for her in the color of the outfit she wore. But, she told the story on the second, the Elena, she told the story about this young man who had been in a terrible accident. He was working, he was a wonderful young man. And somebody had gone off the road, and actually this person passed away. And his family were missionaries, so his parents were on the mission field for a brief little mission trip, and he was staying with friends or relatives or so forth. So I think they came back here. There was a coffee shop that he loved to go to, and he had his favorite drink. She was crying as she was talking about this. He had his favorite drink. And he said when his birthday rolled around, they decided to have this coffee shop and give out flyers to tell about his story and his life and who he was. And they bought a coffee. Everybody that came in that shop in memory of their son. And they spent the day, which should be in a very sad day, the first birthday that rolled around of their son that's no longer here. He's with Jesus. Serving other people. In their grief, they chose to serve others in his memory. How often when we're going through a storm or a struggle, There wasn't a dry eye in the place that she's telling the story, y'all, and I hope I got all the facts right. How often in the mix of our storm do we figure, how can we serve somebody else? Yesterday was a little mini storm for me. You know what I did? Laid in my bed, got on alive, and by the end of the day, at the end of the thing, I was feeling a little bit better. But there were several people in the chat that were going through a little bit of a difficult time. And I really hope that I was a blessing to them, that they were just able to have people and able to talk and be able to have, have people come beside them. Sometimes when we're going through difficult situations, let's find out how we can serve somebody else. And I said to people, I'm going to come on here when I'm having a good day and when I'm not having a so good day. Because in those not having a not so good day, if I can come on here and bless somebody or serve somebody and have somebody have an opportunity to connect, and maybe at the end of it they go, you know what, you lightened my load a little bit today, then it's worth it. Just like that family that lost their son. And they could have been very well home grieving over their son. But instead, they chose to serve other people that day. What an amazing testimony. I mean, unbelievable testimony. To not only their friends, everybody that walked into that place that had a coffee. To their family, to their church. What a testimony in the mix of grief, how they chose to serve others. And you know what? That's what friendship is. That's what connection is. We're serving each other. We're blessing each other by being there. I'm going to be there with you in the good times, and in the messy times, I'm going to be there the same way back. Friendships and people that have your back cannot be one-way streets. And if they are, you need to start getting some other people that hey, I'm there for you and you're there for me. And doesn't mean we can't have those people that only show up when there's good times. But those are not people you lean on when you're going through a difficult time. It's the people that, hey, they're here during this and they're here when it's not so pretty. That's what we need to be. We need to be here through it all if we're going to be friends. That's what this channel is in existence for. It's not for the crochet, as much as I'd love to show it off. It's for the connections. And however this channel grows, I need to sit and relish every moment. I thought about it too. I remember when I was going to a Bible study, and our pastor that married Josh and I just had his first daughter, and she was just this little tiny bundle. And I remember saying to him, he said, "Oh, I can't wait till she starts walking and crawling and talking." And I said, "Wait a minute. Do you see your daughter?" He goes, "Yes." I said, "You can put her in that car seat or that, I need to get back, whatever, rocking chair, whatever, the things they put them in. I don't even know. It's been years since I've had a baby. But, in the things they have for babies that they could just you could put her on the floor on a blanket. And guess what? You go to the kitchen for a second and you come back and she's still there. She hasn't moved. The minute they start crawling is the minute you're going to get busy. So guess what? As long as she can lay on that blanket and not move, that she can fall asleep on your arm or on your shoulder, that you can just love on her and just enjoy it. Enjoy every moment that you have your daughter, every stage of your life. Because you're only going to get it once. You cannot go back. I wish sometimes I could just take a second, go back to when my daughter was that tiny again. I'll never have that chance. Ever. And I didn't have any other children. It was like I couldn't repeat it. Not that I could repeat the same thing, but I couldn't have that experience again. God only gave me one, and I'm very blessed that we have the one. But, you know, we got to enjoy and relish every moment. And I just thought, God, I need to relish every moment of having 50 subscribers and 100 subscribers and 200 and 250. And every subscriber that comes on, I need to say, thank you, Lord, for the blessings of where I'm at. And if that number doesn't change for 10 days, then it's not supposed to be. I'm not going to rush the growth. Just like when you're in it with your child, you want them, well, I got this, now I can't wait till they do this, and then do this, and then do this. And before you know it, they're married, and you're an empty nester. And you're going, wait a minute, where is that? I just want to hold the little baby again. Next baby I get to hold, hopefully, eventually, way down the road, will be my grandchildren, which I will be absolutely over the moon for. So I hope that that's the little tidbits of what I got from that. There was so much more. Just, you know, really to just lean into him. You know, one of the things I was having a couple nights before, I was having like many little panic attacks before I went to sleep. I've had like a week worth of really good sleep, and I'm like, okay, I know I need to be more in the Word, and whether it's, you know, that will help. If it's all part of that change in my time in my life, then wonderful, because my mom said she had them, and I'm like, I really don't want to go through them. I don't like them. I can handle panic attacks when I'm awake, but not when I'm asleep. They're not fun. But just keep praying that they will not come back ever again. I will appreciate that tremendously. So we have a lot to look forward to. We got Easter, y'all, coming up. St. Patty's Day is behind us, but we have Easter. I cannot believe it's like the middle of March already. Where did the time go? It's like you get older and the time just goes. It's like, where did it all go? Not supposed to go this quick. And then we have the beginning of April. I cannot believe April's almost around the corner. I'm just like, where did it go? It went someplace. I don't know where it went to. And April the 9th, April the 8th, we have the eclipse that's supposed to come through here. So that should be interesting. My husband wants to get something for his phone so he can record it. So maybe I'll be able to do it so y'all can see it too. I don't know. And go live or something like that. But you have to have something on your phone to protect it, I guess. I've never been through an eclipse, so this should be very interesting. But it's coming through here. And then, what is it? And then on the 9th, the court papers finally all got approved and stamped and everything, and that is our official court date for the adoption of my daughter to her dad, which is Josh. So I probably will not be coming on April the 9th because it's going to be a really special day for our family. Something that will be special for my husband and for my daughter, and it's going to be a little bit of emotional for me. I know it's something that my dad very much wanted for Josh and Christina, so I'm excited for that. So hopefully that will go smoothly. So if you want to say a couple prayers for April the 9th, I'd appreciate it. So anyway, and I don't know when we're doing. I think it won't be Easter, but we'll be having ham. I've got a ham in the freezer pulling out for Easter, and we'll also be having the kids over at some point. I'm sorry, my daughter will always be a kid. And usually what we do is we try to get, we dye hard-boiled eggs red. Now this is what the Greek tradition does. And you take an egg and you take the same points, the pointy part of the egg to the pointy part of the egg, and then you flip it and you crack them together. And the person that has no cracks within its egg is the one that gets the luck for the entire year. So that's the Greek tradition, and you all dye red eggs and you crack them. And so we always do that every year. Last year, I think Christina won, and she had like a really tough egg. And then sometimes if you get it where you just have the red egg and one gets dented and the other side doesn't, then that's the one who gets it. It's a silly little Greek tradition, but it's fun. And so we'll have them over at some point. I don't quite know when. And then I know they're getting ready to get settled where they are, and then we're going to be trying to empty the storage unit and bring it here on the 13th. So, boy, April's going to be just busy, along of me getting blankets done in the process of it all. So, anyway, but I just wanted to hop on, and just have a place to connect, talk about my tidbits for celebrating Jesus. I'm really I'm happy that I went, and that I totally enjoyed it. And I will be going to, we went last year, and so we got it on the calendar already for March, and before you know it, it's going to be here. I'm not looking forward to the summer and spring after the storm season. We had the storms last year. Or a couple days ago. I'm not looking forward to it. I'm fine with the rain. I just keep the tornadoes far away from me. Don't want anything to do with them. But I have a funny feeling it's going to be a doozy of a summer, spring. Then before we know it, it'll be fall again. It's like before we know it, it's March, and it's like, wait a minute, where did the time go? Whew, it just went by. So I hope you all have a great day. I am looking forward to it becoming a little warmer because I can go sit outside a little bit, bring my crochet, bring a chair, and just sit and chit chat. So we'll try to do that. And I thought it'd be really cool, maybe next month, to take you all down to the Amish country for the day. Come live at different places around downtown or in Berlin, and take you around, and there's lovely shops down in Berlin. I mean, just beautiful shops and restaurants, and just absolutely beautiful. The Amish country is gorgeous, and I thought maybe I would take you all down there next month. Just take my little phone and take you all down, let you see the Amish country. My friend is going to be coming back soon, and when she comes back, we're going to be doing the series of having a friend on the couch, and bringing a friend on in and letting you meet one of my friends, and having some just get on and just have some fun. And if they want to tell their testimony, that's beautiful. So I've got some things in the works, y'all. I'm really just let me tell you, I'm thoroughly enjoying this. And like I did yesterday, I was like, I have to go on. I want to go on. I want to connect. And I did, even though I was in pain and I did my crochet, I still found ways to connect with people throughout the day. And I think that's a real important part of having that in your toolbox. Connecting in any way that you possibly can. So have a blessed night, you all. Thank you for joining me. You all are just amazing. I sent something to my daughter today, and I said, just don't forget, daughter, you're God's masterpiece. And sometimes we're in broken pieces, and sometimes we just have to put them in the front of Jesus and say, here, can you help put them together? But we also need our friends to just come beside us and be there underneath that umbrella in the good times and in the hard times. And just say, I got you. I got your back. I'm going to keep you protected from the rain. I'm going to keep you protected from the sun. And we have that. But I sent her a message. I said, I sent a video, and I said, you're God's masterpiece. Don't forget how special and beautiful and wonderful you're all made. And so thank you for allowing me to do this. You know, like I said from the beginning of this channel, I can't hide Jesus. I cannot hide Jesus. Thank you for sharing, Rhonda. You're welcome. I can't hide him. He's too much a part of my life. I just ask for people to respect my views and my beliefs, as I will respect their views and beliefs. So I was a little kind of apprehensive a little bit about maybe doing the thumbnail, and I go, no, because that's what we did over the weekend. We celebrated Jesus, and I can't keep that. It's part of me, and I can't keep it hidden. It's not the way Jesus asks us to do. He asks us to be the light of the world, doesn't he? And to love others and to show that, and I hope I did. So have a wonderful, wonderful evening. Tomorrow we're going to be working on the garage, so I don't know if I'll come on tomorrow. I'm trying to start, if I can, to try to find some time in the day, at least a couple more times a week, to hop on, even if it's at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm going to start trying to do that, so I don't come on every night. And then, of course, Friday, I will be on My Other Keeper. She does a game show in the middle of the afternoon, 3 o'clock Central Time and 4 o'clock Eastern Time. So I'm on that, and I will be popping on that to join her. So have a great night. You take care, and God bless. And remember what I'm going to end. Oh, nose itch. I've been working with yarn all day. It's an occupational hazard. Remember what I end my show with every time. Whether it's a live, wherever I am, I say this every time. Stay connected. It can truly be life-changing. Stay connected, y'all. Bye.